Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. I'm a professional artist working from my studio in Essex in the UK and painting plein air in the countryside. Today I've set up in the centre of Chelmsford City and I'm painting a line and colour wash of the Shire Hall. I love painting plein air. You meet so many different people that are very interested in what you're doing and how you're doing it. There's the finished painting. And this is the subject. Well, it started to rain, but I managed to find a spot nicely under cover to put the initial pen drawing down onto my watercolour paper. Now I'm laying in the sky first. The sky's going to be quite dark, picking around the outlines of the buildings and the cathedral, making certain that the necessary areas are still left white paper. I'm going to have the light coming in from the right hand side on this one. My mix for the sky was Windsor Blue, that's the red shade, plus a very touch of Indian red. After thoroughly cleaning the brush, I dive into my Indian red and apply that to the top right hand corner of the sky to give the feeling of light and warmth coming in from that side. Now I use that same colour in a very light wash to paint in the foreground paving area. To the immediate foreground I add light red, blending that with the damp colour. Finally, I add alizarin crimson to really give warmth to the foreground paving. Next, I add the colour of the stone really on this lovely building. I use raw sienna with burnt umber to get an initial very light wash of colour onto the front. So that's the front and stonework laid in. Now I add colour to the cathedral tower and spire and the distant buildings that are left of the Shire Hall. I'm always aware of anything that's lighter, any object that's lighter in front of those areas, and that is the tree or shrub that stands in the pavement area. Now I'm also adding some slightly darker stone in places, the bottom of the columns and varying little edges. Now I'm attending to that shrub that stands in the paved area in a quite dark green. That's the Windsor Blue with a touch of cadmium yellow. Figures are always an important area to a a street scene or a building subject, and you've got to think about the colours. The reds attract the eye, the blues tend to send the eye into an area but not as prominent. So it's got to be a mix of varying colours that will pull the eye towards the figures required. Now it's the fun bit, the windows, dark windows, and also the shadow areas. Probably the most important part of any painting. The shadows are a mix of Windsor blue with alizarin crimson. I'm adding a deep shadow or dark tone of shadow to the buildings on the left of the Shire Hall purely because they could, and they probably were, in shadow cast from the large Shire Hall itself. Now the shadows on the front of the building, it's a wet day, but I had to use a little bit of memory from where I have seen the shadows on this building and other buildings before. The sun is coming from the right on this subject, so it goes the top of the window reveals and down the right hand side, but obviously to the left hand side of the columns. The actual large doors at the front, I'm assuming because they set back so far, are basically in complete shadow. I'm now going to the other side of the painting and looking at the shadows that would be cast onto buildings, and of course the darker shadows on the left hand sides of the shrubs in the paving. Finally, I laid a shadow across the large building coming from buildings on the right hand side and in the foreground, adding red to bring that forward.